So I saw the new Venom movie this weekend. Well, the only Venom movie. And I wanted to take a couple days to really let the movie digest and settle in my mind. And my honest opinion, it was garbage. But I can honestly see why so many people are enjoying the movie. It doesn't seem to take itself too seriously, which could be a good thing, could be a bad thing, depending on how you look at it. I necessarily don't think it was that great of a thing. Not to say that there shouldn't be humor at all in a Venom movie. I honestly think that's probably one of the only ways you could make the character of Venom and Eddie Brock a relatable protagonist. But I think this movie, you know, kind of just pulled its pants down and shit all over a piece of paper and then called it a script. This movie is rated PG-13, and it's PG-13. A lot of the humor in this movie feels like it was written by a 13-year-old boy. And to me, it just made this movie seem like a half-assed attempt at Sony to mock what made Deadpool such a hit with fans and critics alike. And again, I've got no issue with the character of Venom being, you know, quippy or funny, but some of the jokes in this movie, man, all of the jokes in this movie, man, they're pretty bad. Yo, I just realized that Sony spelled backwards is Enos. Like, he knows how to make good movies, but he chooses not to. And on top of that, basically all the dialogue in this movie is bad. If a character opens their mouth, it just doesn't, it doesn't sound like it's coming from a real person, anything that they say ever. And on top of that, the CGI it's not the worst CGI that I've ever seen, but it's nowhere near the best. It's like just barely acceptable for the most part, aside from one action sequence in the movie. And this part did look pretty cool. Look, I'm just saying, this fan-made one that I found looks way cooler. Moving on. One action sequence in the movie feels like it got like 50% of the budget of the entire film. And it's kind of jarring because you can really see the difference in quality between the CGI from every single point in the movie up to this one action sequence. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but it looks pretty damn good. And then the rest of the movie, it's just like, whoa. Everyone's acting in this film also kind of felt like they had other places to be. No one was fully present in the film. And I don't know whether to necessarily blame that on the acting. It's the actors themselves, the directing, or just the god-awful script that they were meant to work with. It was just, I'm telling you, I don't know. My go-to phrases the entire time I was watching this movie were, what the hell am I watching? Whoa, who wrote that? Whoa, who greenlit all this stuff? Who said, you know what? That's a great film you just made there. I like your script. I like your CG. But although this movie is a total shit show, it's sort of got its positive qualities, and I can see why people enjoy this movie. The first third, I'd say, of the movie is like really slow, really boring. It feels like a lot of stuff just kind of happens. There's like character moments that don't feel like they actually mean anything to the overall plot or developing of any character whatsoever. But after said third of the movie, if you turn your brain off, like simple jack off.
Everybody knows you never go full retard.
It's a pretty enjoyable movie. You know, if you do a little bit of before you watch it, probably have yourself a good time. No, I don't do any bad things. But if you turn your brain on and really start to think about any of the things you're seeing on the screen or hearing coming out of the characters, it all starts to fall apart. And it's not pretty. Alright, so I'm about to get into spoilers. If you don't want the movie spoiled for you, skip to whatever time I'm putting on the screen right now. If you don't care about spoilers, here we go. Okay, so to start this off, none of the characters in this movie really have clearly defined goals or motivation. besides maybe the villains. I mean, the evil symbiote Riot straight up says that he wants to bring all the symbiotes to Earth to basically feed on humanity, and evil scientist guy wants to fuse with them so that we can live in space. But besides that, everyone else is just there, and they're just there. There are a lot of scenes in this movie, like I said, where if you actually just think about it too much, it starts to fall apart in front of your eyes. There's this one part where Eddie is trying to meditate. He's just laying on the floor in his apartment with some meditation tape playing in the background. And then all of a sudden, he's fucked up in his meditation by the movie soundtrack. It's supposed to be his neighbor is playing really loud rock music, but it doesn't sound like the music's coming from an apartment next door. It just sounds like the soundtrack. Eddie shouldn't hear this music. We should. It's clear as day. And then he walks out of his apartment. Opens the door, gets real mad, and just faces the camera and just goes, and then that's the scene. It just ends like that. That was the whole scene. And it's when you watch it, you're like, all right, if you know anything about Venom, you're like, all right, they're going to do a callback to this later on. But it's like, what the fuck did I just watch? That's what I thought all the way to the post-credits scene. Everyone's performance in this film seems extremely phoned in, especially Tom Hardy as Eddie Brock. Like, he seems more of a caricature than an actual character. During the first third of the movie, he's real cocky, confident, look at me, I'm not really that good at accents, and I'm from New York, and I'm a journalist guy. And then after the first third of the movie, he's just this fucking twitchy, crazy, yelling off one-liners, hey, yo, I got a parasite, to some voice in his head guy, which I can see what they were going for, but whoa, did they go for it? Also, this is my first time ever seeing Tom Hardy perform in a film. If I just based my opinion of Tom Hardy as an actor off of this one film, whoa, buddy. The visual effects in this film, I wouldn't say total garbage. I think that's a little harsh, but not very good. Some points, they look actually pretty impressive. Like towards the end of the film, there's this action sequence that I'm going to touch on more, but through the vast majority of the film, Venom looks weird. Like when you see his full body in the frame and he's actually fighting people and attacking people, it looks weird. When he's partial, like you only see his head and maybe an arm in the frame, he looks pretty good. Then as soon as they zoom out to a full body shot, I don't know what it is, but his body just looks so oddly proportioned to me. Oh yeah, and there's this one part where Venom fights a bunch of SWAT people. He fights a bunch of SWAT people in this building. As soon as all the SWAT guys came up and I saw Brock turn into Venom, I thought to myself, oh man, how are they going to make this look acceptable? I've seen Venom full body before. It did not look very good. How are they going to make this in a way that it looks visually acceptable? And then right at that moment, Venom catches a grenade in his hand, squeezes it, and it pops, and smoke starts pouring out, and he just goes, and then he disappears into the smoke and starts killing people. And in that moment, I was like, I knew it! Saving on the budget, you little cheeky bastards. It looked better with the smoke than it probably would have looked without it. And they do things similar to that in a lot of the Venom fight scenes, where they'll cut away real quick. I feel like some gore would have went a long way to help the quality of this film. Not to say it would have made it a great film, but if you're gonna play on Goofy, play on Goofy. And please, just write the jokes somewhat well. That's all we want. Okay, so now I'm gonna go a little more into detail on the stupid stuff that this movie decides to do. Like when the science lady just so happens to stumble upon Eddie in the convenience store that he frequents. I guess he lives there for the odds of you to just find him there. She's a private eye, along with also being a biological scientist, some shit. So anyway, she stumbles upon him there and then proceeds to bring him back to her facility so that he can take pictures of the whole symbiote project. Wouldn't it have made more sense if she had just taken the pictures herself and just given them to him? I think so. But then we wouldn't have a movie. Or you could just write something a little more interesting. Anyway, so while Eddie is inside of this facility taking pictures with his sound on, he sees this like homeless lady that he's homies with. Homeless lady. Homie. There's a joke there. So he sees this homeless lady that he's friends with inside of one of the cells. Clearly she has been infected with a symbiote like everyone else. So he proceeds to try to unlock the door that she's in, which has a number code on it. He has no idea what the code is. Just puts in random numbers, sounds off an alarm. So he picks up a fire hydrant and proceeds to break the door down. Then she jumps out and attacks him, and that's how he gets the symbiote. After he gets the symbiote, he's jumping through fucking trees and jumping through steel fences. If it makes you that much stronger, how come she couldn't break out of the cell herself? Another example of a stupid scene. These people are hunting down Brock. It's this really long chase scene down the streets of San Francisco. Is it in San Francisco? Whatever, it's not in New York, I don't fucking care. So they're chasing him down the streets of San Francisco, and they're like, oh, I want Brock alive. Don't kill him. So they send suicide bomber drones after him. First of all, you want him alive, not blown up and dead. Second of all, how dumb of a concept is suicide bomber drones? Why couldn't you just put guns on them? They gotta be expensive. No, let's just blow them all up. Just blow them all up. And then there's this other scene where he's on the roof of a building. I guess this is to establish another one of Venom's weaknesses, which is sound. So he's on the roof of this skyscraper, and a jet flies overhead, and it doesn't make any sound at all until it is directly over him. And then it is so loud, it scrambles the symbiote and causes Brock to almost fall to his death. Later, after establishing that the symbiote is also weak to fire, in the ending fight, Venom is basically inside a rocket engine, and as it ignites, he just jumps up the spaceship. Neither the sound nor the fire had any effect on him whatsoever. And then the rocket explodes, and then Venom turns himself, the symbiote, turns himself into a parachute, says, "Bye-bye, Eddie. I always loved you. Bye-bye." And then Eddie falls into the water. You presume that the symbiote's dead. Later on in the movie, the symbiote's just like, "Hey, you know, my guy, you know, that girl, she is ours. And don't question why I'm back. I just am, and you know this, and the audience knows this." Like, even just a little bit of dialogue saying, "Oh, there was a little bit of me left in your bloodstream, Eddie. I didn't think I'd be able to bring myself back, but hey, here I am." It's just one little line like that would have been like, okay, cool, I get it. But no, we didn't get that. He's just back, and he's Venom, and he's eating people's arms, legs, and he's eating their faces off. And he's leaving them rolling down the street.
Like a bird in the wind.
What the hell are you?
I got a parasite!
And let's talk about the post-credit scene. This movie's been desperately trying to set up some kind of weird Venom universe. It's a sequel, something. It's like, look at these other symbiotes we have. When you see Venom, maybe he can fight these in the future. After the credits, we have Eddie going to a prison to visit what anyone who has any knowledge on Venom lore will be like, oh, he's gonna go see Cletus Cassidy for sure. I saw it coming. What I didn't see coming was Woody Harrelson in a fucking Orphan Annie wig, sitting in a cage, like Harley Quinn in fucking Suicide Squad. And then he just turns around and goes, do you want me to turn on the serial killer act? Cause I could do it. And Eddie's like, please God, please don't do that. And he's like, okay, but just so you know, when I get out, there will be carnage. And honestly, due to the fact that this movie has made so much money, there will be carnage. There will be carnage. I just really hope that it's good, or at least better than this. And look, I know that the Carnage symbiote canonically is an offspring of the Venom symbiote, but I swear to God, if they put some kind of weird ass cringe-worthy like symbiote sex scene where the Venom symbiote like impregnates itself, I will complain about it. That's the best I can do, is complain about it, but I will be here to complain about it. Watch. So in conclusion, do I think that Venom is a good movie? It's just so bad. No. No, not even close. Do I think it is an unwatchable movie though? No. It's pretty watchable. Honestly, if you watch it through the lens of, wow, this is so stupid that it's hilarious, that it's a pretty enjoyable movie. I'm not gonna lie. It's a fun ride, but honestly, I laughed my ass off several times in the theater. Just the idea of someone writing this dialogue or these moments down, and then somebody else looking at it and thinking, that's gold. Do that. That made it all the funnier. But if you don't go to movies, or you don't enjoy movies like that, you really want, cohesive narrative, well-written characters, good acting, good visual effects, good action, continuity that makes sense within the film, stakes, tension, anything that really makes a good action film, aside from the fact that things explode, you're not going to enjoy this at all. No. Don't set your expectations too high. If you're going to see this, if you have expectations, if you have standards, which I feel like a lot of people who went to see this movie don't really have standards, as long as something makes them laugh and something also explodes, it's a great film to them. If you're going to see something other than that, don't see this film. You're going to hate it. So that's my take on Venom. If you like this video, like this video, please. Subscribe for more stuff. I put out a lot of funny things that I think are funny, at least. Just end it like that. Country boy, I love you.